Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. Get the Chobani peppermint mocha coffee creamer. Merry Christmas. Welcome to The Good Stuff, a podcast brought to you by The Good Word Co. This is your host, Caitlin Piggott. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Good Stuff, a podcast for anyone going through anything. This is your host, Caitlin Piggott, and if you're watching this on YouTube, then you can see we've moved up. We've got a mic stand, so now I don't have to hold it, which I feel like I already talk a lot with my hands, so now you're going to get even more performance from me, but this makes me feel very official, and yeah, so here we are at The Good Stuff. I'll do a quick intro because I know having this on YouTube has brought some new faces, hopefully. So this is a podcast that I do every other week. It comes out on Wednesdays, and I pick a word or a phrase or a topic or something that I feel to be very universal that anybody goes through. I speak on my life experience with that word, phrase, or feeling, and while the specifics of that obviously are specific to my life, the lessons that I learned, the things that I take away from it, I feel to be very universal. I want this to be a podcast that anybody, no matter your age or any other thing about you, you're going to see that it's a word that resonates, like you have a feeling about, or that you can relate to. You click play and you spend some time with me. It's meant to be, again, like a positive experience. The word good is literally in the name. So hopefully you enjoy your time listening to me or watching me if this is in fact on YouTube. And yeah, it's meant to be a opportunity for just a positive conversation. I sometimes have guests. If I have a guest, it's always someone that I know really personally because I want the conversations to be intimate and real from the get-go. And so if I am wanting to do an episode on a word that I feel like I know someone who has a really unique experience to that, and that it would be beneficial for the rest of you to hear what they have to say. Yeah, so sometimes I have guests on. If I do, they're always very intentional, but otherwise it's just me. So welcome back to The Good Stuff. If this is not your first time listening, if this is your first time listening, thank you so much for showing up. Today, this is something that I love to do. This is not my full-time job. I run a business called The Good Word Co. that supports predominantly nonprofits with their communications and fundraising efforts. So most of my time is spent making sure that people in different communities know about the awesome, wonderful, life-changing things that some of my clients are doing for people that they live among. And it's really empowering, awesome work that I get to do. It's very fulfilling. And it is always on behalf of other people and obviously for the sake of others. And so I really like coming on here and having something that just feels mine, I guess. Every so often. And so thank you for caring enough to be here, to watch, to listen, however you're engaging with this. I really appreciate it. And just know that for me as the person, this means a lot. It's a really amazing creative outlet that I get to have that, again, just matters a lot to the person, not the, I don't know, like persona, if that makes sense. So anyway, let's get into today's episode. Today, we are going to talk about the word joy. And now, when this word crossed my mind, I was like, not me accidentally like doing the words of Advent, because the last time I did a solo episode, I talked about hope. So maybe we'll just close the circle, even though it's the week before Christmas. So the next two would be well after the holidays. Maybe we'll just stick with that and we'll do love and peace after this. I don't know. I'm not even sure if these are in the correct order. Probably not, knowing me, but anyway, we're going to talk about joy today because you know what? It's the holidays, and I hope we all are feeling a lot of joy as we navigate this season. By the time this comes out, it's the week before Christmas, so we're well into the holidays, but Christmas is just a time that I feel like spans for many weeks before and hopefully a little bit after. And it's a time where hopefully you're feeling a lot of joy and happiness and like potential and maybe a little bit of Christmas magic here or there. So we're going to talk about that today. And like, I think when you just boil down the word joy or the feeling of joy, it's really just doing something like because you like it. And that sounds really simple, and it is. But I think a lot of the times, no matter who you are, what kind of responsibilities you have, or what you feel like you need to do or should do or whatever, like, I feel like it's really easy to not do stuff that you want to do just because you like to do it, or because maybe you feel like, I don't know, it's not a good use of your time, or you worry about what people are going to think about you enjoying that or like having that hobby or whatever. And that's just such a waste of energy. Like, I understand, obviously, we all have obligations. Like I just mentioned, I have a business to run. I have work to do. I have things that I have to do. And you can't always only do stuff that you want to do, of course, because again, we are human beings who have obligations and responsibility and families to take care of and work to do and friendships to uphold and all those things. But I think you find real joy in just like, I don't know, like it's just something doing. One way you can find joy, obviously you can find joy in like watching someone you love achieve an accomplishment or something like that. But I think when you really, really, really boil it down, it's just like doing something because you want to and it makes you happy. And the feeling you get after doing that thing. And there's something like special about that. I think at the holidays, you just feel it a little bit more. Obviously there's like lots. I feel like joy is one of those, whoops, see, I'm going to be hitting that. And then it's whatever. Take the hands over here. Joy is one of those words. It's like synonymous with this season, like joy, believe, hope. I'm sure there's lots of others that I'm not thinking of, jolly, whatever. But I think it gives us an opportunity to really like sit in that and think about what makes us happy, think about who makes us happy, think about what we get to do with those people that makes us happy, and like really not to get too like biblical or whatever about it. Like I don't need to get churchy, but like, and then like really like rejoice in that, like share that and celebrate those things and those people. And that's why the holidays are special. It's because you're with people who you love just for the sake of being with them. Obviously with Christmas, sometimes that comes with like gifts and presents, and that's so fun. And it's joyous to give gifts and get gifts, but it's just, we're so happy. We feel like we're allowed to be happy because we've maybe lessened some of the responsibility we have with work. And all we're focused on is just being with our people who we care about and who care about us and who want to spend this time together. And that's our only obligation, is just like enjoying time together. And so I think that's why this word comes up around this time of year a lot. And yeah, so I want to like get into it and talk about some things how I relate to it, things I've noticed. I always try to talk about like things I've seen in the world that relate to the word, and then how I see it in my own life and give examples of that. Because again, although my experience is going to be different than literally anybody else's on this whole planet, the things I learned from it, the emotions I take away, can be universally applied to your own life. So I said in my episode about hope that it's like, I feel like we're kind of lucky to be able to hope, to have things to look towards and to yearn for and to want. And I feel the same way about experiencing joy. Like, and there's definitely been times in life, I'm sure we all can relate to this, where it feels like impossible to be joyous or to be happy because of something that's going on in your life that's personal to you, a loss of any sort, a person, a job, a situation that just makes you feel like, how can I ever like be happy again? A breakup, whatever. We've all been there. And eventually it starts to come back and you recognize, you're like, or maybe one of the things that you recognize is, man, I like miss this feeling and I feel really lucky that I can maybe not lucky. Like I feel grateful for the fact that I can feel this again, because there was a time you didn't think that you could. And I think if you have that perspective all the time, you can find gratitude in being joyous. It's like, when you're sick and then when you're not sick, you're like, oh my gosh, why was I never grateful for the days that I didn't feel sick? Like you become so grateful for your health because you're like, those every, random day that I just go about my business and I'm not sick, like I should be grateful for the fact that I'm not sick, because being sick is so bad. Kind of similar in that sense. Like, and based off last episode with Erica talking about gratitude, it kind of like grows on itself, right? So if you find yourself being able to be grateful to feel joy, like hopefully more joy finds you. And I feel like the holidays is a time where we can really feel that, like universally as ourselves and with the people that we care about, and just as like bigger communities. I said I wasn't going to get religious, and I'm not going to, but like if you're familiar with the biblical story of Christmas, like joy is kind of the whole point. It's this, miraculous child is born, and what the whole world could be at that point, which is obviously thousands of years ago, and communities were smaller in the sense that you just like only knew what was in front of you. But the world rejoiced about that, and we still celebrate that again thousands of years later. And so that's like so central to that aspect of the Christmas season, which I think also, like I said, joy grows on joy. Like I think that perpetuates the feeling and like just happiness that is surrounded with this season, because again, it is just integral to every aspect of Christmas. No matter how you celebrate Christmas, like joy is at the core of it. And I feel like it's kind of like how people describe like having kids, where it's like when you take them to Disneyland for the first time, or when they're just young and you're like experiencing the world through their eyes, everything's a little bit more magical and like fun. I feel like Christmas kind of does that for all of us too. Like the season, I feel like everything's a little bit more like joyful. Like I had dinner with a group of friends the other night, and this is a group of people that I see often. It's not abnormal for us to have gotten together to have dinner, but like because there was like Christmas lights in the restaurant and we were all just like, I don't know, there's just a little extra something about it. And even in my own like home, I see like I light my Christmas tree like all day, and I look forward to when it gets dark, because like there's just nothing like the little magic of like Christmas tree lights. And I love just like turning the rest of the lights off and having that be like the only source of light. That brings me so much joy. That's why I set my Christmas tree up like well over a month ago, because I just know that it makes me happy, and I'm not going to deny myself that kind of happiness, because life is hard. So put your Christmas tree up whenever you want to. Like I had this moment the other night. I was working really late. It's been honestly a very long work week, more than a week. It's just a busy time for me. So another reason why I'm really grateful to just be sitting here a little disconnected from that, able to just do something for me. It's very, very helpful. So I've been working late, honestly, every night for the last, I don't even know how many nights I can remember. And I was like sitting here, very quiet. I mean, it was like literally like 10 or 11 p.m. The only lights I had on were my Christmas tree and my laptop or computer. And there was like, although I was tired and all the things, like I had this moment of just like, this is kind of what I wanted. This is what I asked for when I started my own business all those years ago, right? Like I yearned for the times that there was so much to do that it had to get done at 10 p.m. And, I knew nobody, obviously, well, other people were awake somewhere, but it was just me. And like something about that was kind of sacred and special. And I felt like happy and grateful in that moment. And I don't know that I would have felt that way if it was March, and I didn't have my Christmas tree up. So I was very grateful for my Christmas tree in that moment and the happiness that it brought me in like a just quiet kind of private moment. That's so private. I'm telling all of you about it. Anyway, but it's kind of, it made me feel something interesting because this time of year, it's like when I'm recording this today, it's December 12th. A lot of my friends are kind of coasting through the end of the year. I have friends predominantly that work like in corporate, traditional corporate America, whatever. Everyone's kind of like last week or next week feels like most people's last week of work. So everyone's just kind of like, it's kind of like before we would go on Christmas break in school. It was just like, you might have a test here or there, but otherwise you're doing crafts and having parties in class. And, another bulk of my friends are horse trainers, and this is also not like, it's not like we have something we're getting ready for next week. So they're still working very hard, and that's a very niche profession. But this time of year for me, because I work with nonprofits, is very busy because we're trying to get every last dollar out of people, obviously, before the end of the year. And so I feel like I am just running like on a million miles a minute. I am getting towards being running on fumes. Yesterday, I actually took like a couple hours off too, because I was just like, I called one of my friends in the morning having such a spiral that I was like, we got to pump the brakes a little bit. So anyway, but because of all that, right, I feel like my friends who are in more traditional, like I said, like corporate America, they feel stressed at different times depending on what their work is, or like the end of quarter or whatever. Like I feel like I'm kind of the only one who's feeling this kind of stress right now, which is totally fine. It just can feel a little bit lonely in that capacity. So the other night with my little Christmas tree, I was like, you know what, I might be alone, but I'm happy. So anyway, and it also made me think about something else. This is kind of a tangent, but I feel like I am someone who works best when like nobody else is working. If that makes sense. Like I like working after hours, if you will, because I just feel like I'm able to get a lot done without the distraction of like people calling or emailing or whatever, reaching out, which is obviously their prerogative, like that they're paying me to do things that I need to be accessible to them. But even when I worked like in an office, for somebody else, full time, I felt like I was able to get so much more done, like when I could isolate myself. And in college, same thing. Like I can remember waking up really early to finish stuff, or like staying up later to do stuff. Cause I just feel like when like the world is quiet, my brain can kind of quiet and I can get a little bit more done. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I definitely do, which has been nice as someone who's self-employed, because obviously I have deadlines and stuff. And I'm available throughout the traditional workday for my clients, but me being available doesn't mean I have to be sitting at my desk necessarily at 2:00 on a Tuesday. Like I have my phone nearby, and if I need to do something or check in, I can. But like if it is easier for my brain at that point to unload the dishwasher, I can do that and work on, because I, had worked on what they need from me the night before at 8 or 9 p.m. So might not work for everyone, but kind of works for me, and something that that I felt the other night. Okay, now into the kind of actual like segmented parts of the show. So I'm going to talk about where I've seen joy in the world, how that kind of relates to my life, and then how I've experienced it personally as of late. I didn't say this at the top of the show, but I'll say it now. The words and phrases that I pick, sometimes they're a little bit like I have kind of a running list, but for the most part, I would say like something happens in my day-to-day life and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that. And so I think with joy, honestly, I think it might have been the moment the other night with the Christmas tree, or, oh no, it's the story that's going to come later. Cliffhanger. My story with joy made me inspired to do this topic. But the other day I was where I saw it in the world, and I kind of like am taking this on as myself too, but the feeling I got was from seeing something else stick with me. I was watching a podcast episode. I was watching the Kelsey Brothers podcast, and they had on Erin Andrews, who's obviously like a really well-known female sports broadcaster host. And she was telling her story of like her come up in her career, and you could just like see the joy radiating through her telling her story. And like she just kept saying like, I'm living my dream job. Like, this is the coolest thing. You could just feel it even through the screen, like listening, or I was watching it on YouTube, like watching it, you could just like, I don't know, like something about it was just like very palpable. And I think that's inspiring, not because I want to be a sports like analyst or whatever. I don't even know the right words for this. I'm so sorry. Not because I want her job, not because I want to be broadcasting on like for ESPN, watching football games all the time. But it was just like, it's inspiring to see someone else like finding so much joy and happiness from what they're doing. And I watched it. I can't remember if it was the same day as this. It was definitely after this experience I had this week where I was having like an initial in-person meeting with a new client. And I found myself like, I don't know, for someone who like preaches how confident she is, and I do feel like I'm a very confident person in a lot of ways in my life, like there's something about, even though I've owned this business for 5 years and it's been successful for 5 years and I have almost 10 years of experience in what I'm doing, sometimes, especially if the person, well, usually only if the person is like older than me, which is very typical in working with nonprofits, like it is typically most people that I'm working with are just older than me because, well, I'm only 30 and a lot of these people like have been doing this for many years. And if I'm working with some sort of executive, like they've worked their way up, they're older than I am. And this is, I'm not putting this like on this person or even anyone else who I like have come across in the past, but just, I don't know, maybe it's like the fact that I like correlate age with like a sense of authority or something just from, I don't know, being a child who respected their parents and teachers and such. But, I like can find myself in those situations sometimes not like being as vocal or like sharing my opinion. And I'm like, wait, these people are literally paying me for my opinion. They obviously believe in what I have to say. So like, say it. And I had this moment in a meeting where I was like really qualifying like everything I was saying. And I was like, no, Katie, just like say what you feel, like just give your opinion. Again, they are paying you for this. And I kind of had a moment driving to that where I was like, this is so cool. Like, this is what I kind of like the Christmas tree light from the night before. I was like, this is why I started this. Like, this is so cool. This is a feeling I have. Like, I'm driving to this new client that I got because someone believes that I have something I can offer them. Just me, like me being me and investing at what I'm good at has gotten me here. And I can see like so many tangible things I can help these people with, which brings me joy and like made me feel so happy and prideful and proud of my work and feeling like I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. Because again, I literally can picture like even 6 months from now, like the changes that will have happened around there that will be a direct correlation to the fact that like I helped these people get more funding. And that I hope that I hope someone watching this or listening to this is having the same experience I did listening to Erin Andrews talk about what she does, because she was able to say, you know, because she gets to follow the NFL and host all these cool games. And like that to her is like the same experience that I had, kind of feeling that sense of just like pride and joy and being like, I'm really going to get a chance to help these people. And that makes me feel so proud and happy. And I'm really grateful to have like, I don't know, seen that in that interview, because I was like, yeah, like that's the point. Like, yes, she obviously works her butt off, as do I, like as do so many of us, but to be able to feel that kind of joy also in your work is so cool and so inspiring. And yeah, I hope that maybe someone watching or listening to this has a similar experience. And really just like gave me permission of like another part of joy that I think I kind of touched on in the beginning too, is just like my dream job, what I get to do is not like, I don't want to do what she's doing. People don't want the job I want. I don't want other jobs that other people have, but like they're their dreams and my dreams, and those can be different, but you can still have that same like passion and happiness and joy that like comes from accomplishing that. And it really is just, I don't know, inspiring to be like, yeah, we're all allowed to just like do what we want within reason and let that bring you happiness and not have to qualify that. Like, you are allowed to enjoy what you do for work. And I hope that most people can. And like I've said before, like, it's not always going to be maybe the most inspiring thing or whatever. And I think that there's some wisdom in not always mixing your passion and work. Not something I've done. Obviously they're very entangled, but that comes with its own struggles. But I think it should bring you joy. And I think that of however it does, like maybe you're not passionate about what you do, but you make a lot of money. And so the joy you find is in like the things you can provide for yourself and your family and your loved ones. And that's awesome. And that's not like surface level either. That's, you know me, I love capitalism, baby. So get your bag. But anyway, like that was just a moment I had in watching that interview and kind of some of those feelings I had throughout my work week where I was like, wait, yeah, we're allowed to like, not allowed, but I hope that you find joy and fulfillment in the work that you're doing. Oh, this was a funny note I have written down. This new client, like I have an opportunity, I think, with them that involved one of my ex-boyfriends, and I texted that person for the first time in years, trying to make a connection. So if you don't think I'm a dedicated, hardworking girl, there's your sign. And if you're listening to this, hey, you're probably not. I really hope you're not, but if you are, hey again, and thanks for the connect. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. Don't text your ex though. None of you. Not even, like, this again was so many years ago. Like, there is so much water under that bridge. No worries. I literally, like, 100% of me was reaching out to this person as like in a strictly professional setting that is not jumbled in my brain. And I did not text him for many years because, well, not for many years, but definitely initially, like, obviously that would have been whatever, had different feelings about it. But do not text your ex. There's never a good excuse to text your ex. Wow, that's hard to say. To text your ex, you don't need to hear from them. They don't need to hear from you. You guys broke up for a reason. Don't text them. Another thing, this is another tangent, just like work related, but I was kind of having a crash out with my mom the other day where I was just like venting about work and just like feeling really stressed and all these things and feeling like I should be doing more, should have accomplished more, blah, 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 whatever. And she was like, kind of just like reframed like the story I was telling myself and like the same facts I was using as to like why I was beating myself up. She's like, what if you just took a positive spin on that? Like, listen to what you're actually saying. Like, that makes you a very lucky, like, blessed person. Like, what if you focused on like the power that gives you and the like gratitude you should have in that instead? And it's really been helpful. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of a vague story, but I just feel like the story we tell ourselves is so important to just how we feel and how we operate. Like, I feel like I've been just like crushing work and like getting so much done and feeling so productive and stuff. And I'm like, I wonder if part of that is because I'm telling myself like, you're doing this and that's cool and whatever. Just like, again, giving myself the like permission to be proud and happy and excited about what I'm doing. And that also, just like I said about in the beginning, like joy grows on joy. Like so do all of those feelings and things. So be careful about what you tell yourself and be very intentional. And yeah, anyway, thanks, Mom. Okay. Now for my favorite part of this episode, I'm going to tell you about where I've seen real joy in my life lately. Now, I know I've told a lot of stories, I guess, throughout this episode about things that have made me happy, but nothing made me as happy as this. But I need to go get it to show you guys. One second. I can't really do like a grand reveal, but drum roll. This is what has brought me the most joy in the last, honestly, I don't know how long. I don't know the last time something made me this happy. Hopefully you can see it. I think you can't. Okay, you get the point. So this, if you're watching, is, well, if you're watching, you don't need me to explain it to you. But for those of you not watching, I'm holding a plastic, about 3-foot tall Christmas soldier holiday decor thing. He's seen some things. And without the context, he might scare you a little bit, but I promise he's not scary. He's awesome. So this little soldier, man, the context here is growing up, we had 2 of these on, like, at our front door, and they were just like an iconic part of our Christmas decor. My parents bought them when they first got married. They got married 500 years ago, so they were very old. And it was probably like, I was really trying to think. It's somewhere between like 17 and 20 years ago. We woke up one morning and just one of them was gone. Someone had taken one of them, which is honestly so messed up. But anyway, so we've still had this one, and we were all so sad. And because my parents had gotten them when they first got married, that was like more than 20 years before the stealing, if that makes sense. My parents got married in like 83. Sure, that feels right. Ish, somewhere around there, the early 80s. And these got stolen, what, if I said 17 and 20 years ago, like somewhere between like 2008 and 2005. And so, yeah, they had already had them for over 20 years. And so obviously we could have just like run to the store and get a new one because, well, as you can see, this is a unique piece of history. So limited edition. And anyway, it's just kind of like always been a thing in our family. Like we just wanted to like find a replacement soldier because it just part of Christmas felt missing all these years. We looked on eBay. We would like look around different like antique shops, whatever. We never found them. And it was just like kind of always a thing, but what are you going to do? Right? Like my parents literally had bought them 20 years prior. Like there's no more. So then like flash forward to last week, I'm watching TikTok and I see this like local influencer go to an antique store, and she's just like kind of like showing the like shop, and I see 2 of these little guys, and I'm like, no way. Like I haven't seen one of those things in almost 20 years. Well, no, I've seen the one every year by himself. So sad, standing post all by himself without his friend. But I was like, no way. And so I looked up, she had like shown where she, like the store she had gone to. So I looked it up, and it was like they were already closed for the day, but I was there the next day, 10 a.m. when they opened. And I was like walking through, and I was like, I cannot like ask these people like, hey, so I saw on a TikTok, like these kind of like funky looking Christmas soldiers. Where are they? So I was like, you got to just like walk around, find them. If you do a loop and you can't find them, then you ask, because like if they're here and you didn't see them, like that's a problem. But like maybe someone else saw the same video and like already had bought them because they're so iconic. But sure enough, after a couple minutes, I spot them, and I'm like, there they are. It was like the, you know, you see in movies and stuff. And I immediately call my brother, and he was driving to work. And I was like, Drew, like, you're actually never going to believe what I'm looking at right now at this antique store. Drew's a big, like, antique shop guy. And I was like, you're genuinely not going to believe what I'm looking at. And he's like, what's up? So I flipped the camera, 5 of these guys. And he was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I know, like, do I buy them all? Like, we need them all, right? Like, and he's like, yeah, because like you should have a couple, I should, whatever. I buy all 5 of them. And we decided me and my brother, where I was like, do I tell mom and dad? Like, I cannot explain like how happy this made me and like what a freaking Christmas. Like, I win Christmas forever because I found these things. And he's like, no, make it a surprise. Like, just like have them when you come back for the holidays, whatever. And I was all on board with that when we were talking. And then I packing in my car and I was too excited. And I texted my parents because I knew they were together. And I was like, I need to talk to you guys. I need you to be together. FaceTime them. And so I'm like in my car and same thing. I said, you are never going to believe what's in my backseat ever. I could give you 1,000 guesses. You're not going to guess it. And they were like, what's up? And I just like, I had one like right behind me and I just like pull it out like this. Also, don't drink for every time I pick this thing up again. And they were like, oh my gosh, freaked out same way that my brother was. And like genuinely, like, you know, the reactions when like people post like them telling their parents that they're like engaged or pregnant or something, that is the way that my parents looked when I showed them this thing. And then I was like, there's 4 more actually. So we bought them all. I call them my platoon. I'm only keeping one and he's actually like next to my tree. It's very cute. And, but the other 4, I just have lined up in my like dining room because I just don't really have somewhere better to put them till I go back home in like a couple weeks. So I call them my platoon. They're just standing guard. Anyway, that, and I told, oh my gosh, you should have seen the sweet lady who was like helping me at the antique shop. I felt the need to tell her this whole story. Not the whole thing, but like I didn't tell her about the TikTok because that felt weird. I was like, oh my gosh, like these things are so amazing. Like we had them growing up. I told her that they got stolen and now I have one for myself and my brother because we all have our own homes now. And she was actually very sweet and excited for me, or at least did a good job pretending that she was excited for me. But anyway, that was my like Christmas. Honestly, miracle. I don't even feel bad saying that. Like, I don't even, that sounds dramatic because it is, because again, I cannot explain, like, I feel like we all have like a favorite like Christmas decoration growing up, like one that's just like special to you for whatever reason. Like these, I told you not to drink, but these like guys are that for my family. So I feel very joyful that I now have lots of them. And yeah, this must be how Santa feels. Times 8 billion every year. What a lucky guy. No wonder he's so freaking happy, because if I got to feel like I've been riding this high for this whole week. I've told everyone about it. I texted so many people right away. I was voice memoing people from the car. Like my like childhood people who like kind of know, like they know the lore of the soldiers. They were very excited for me. My cousin, she was like, oh my God, yeah. I've told everyone that I've come across in the last week about them. So if you're in my personal life, I'm so sorry. But actually, no, I'm not so sorry, because whatever. I could be telling you mean things or bad things, and I'm telling you just instead about like how excited these things made me. You know that TikTok trend that's like, imagine hating me and I'm just over here, blah, blah, blah. It's like, imagine hating me and I'm just over here finding the most joy in acquiring 5 of these 3-foot plastic Christmas soldiers at a local antique shop. Like, okay, something's wrong with you if it makes you mad that this makes me happy. So anyway, there's my personal joy experience. And I hope that something this holiday season makes you as happy as these things made me and my family. And I hope that you get some nice, again, when this comes out, it'll be like the week before Christmas. So you're probably winding down on the work week, and then hopefully you have most of next week off. Enjoy your holiday. I'm sure I'll be enjoying mine. And thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Good Stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Good Stuff. Your host is me, Caitlin Piggott. Follow The Good Word on Instagram at the.good.word.co. and follow the Good Stuff podcast at the.good.stuff.podcast. To reach out about this podcast, email contact@thegoodwordonline.com. Graphic design work was done by Sugar Pine Design. The photo on my cover art was taken by Bella Claire Photography, and the intro and outro audio was done by David Nolf.